Hey guys, Ezra here. I've rented cars through a bunch of different rideshare programs. I rented from Enterprise to drive with Uber. I rented from Hertz to drive with Lyft. But the best rental experience and the most success I've had renting was when I rented from Hertz to drive with Uber. Check it out. All right, so first let's go over some general information on the Hertz and Uber rental program. Mileage. The rental includes unlimited mileage, both for Uber and for personal use. Insurance. Insurance is also included. Uber's insurance covers you while you're driving for Uber, and Hertz provides the coverage while you're driving for personal use. There is a $1,000 deductible on each plan, as far as I know. And also maintenance and roadside assistance are included too, but hopefully you won't need those. Availability. The program is available in select cities, including a lot of big markets like Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Miami, Nashville, New Orleans, Sacramento, and San Francisco. This may change, so see the link below for the full list of cities. And by the way, any links that I mentioned can be found in the video description, so be sure to check those out after you watch the video. Price. Now, Uber has run promotions where the car is free for the driver with a certain minimum number of rides per week, but I have not seen that offered recently. If that promotion does become available in your market, it's probably worth checking out. I paid $204 per week, which is a lot, but I also had a plan to make a lot of money with the car. The rental period. So when you start your reservation, you have to make the reservation for a minimum of 1 week, and the rental can then be extended a week at a time for up to a month by calling the branch. I called in every Monday to extend the rental. I think that as long as you've had the car for at least a week, you can return it at any time and you don't have to wait till exactly 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc. Deposit. When I rented, I had to provide a credit card to Hertz. They authorized my card for $200, but it wasn't really a deposit in my case because the authorization was then gone from my credit card account within 3 days. My weekly rental charges were then deducted from my Uber earnings each week. Now, since these programs are still pretty new, things change often. And it looks like Hertz now charges drivers directly instead of Uber taking it from your earnings. So be prepared to have your first weekly payment plus that deposit when you go in. Now, why I rented. So first, to try it. I wanted to try the program so I could see how it works, see how much money I could make, and also so I can share my experience with you guys. To hustle. Here in Los Angeles, summer has always been the busiest time for Uber and Lyft in my experience, so I decided that August would be a good time to dedicate myself to driving and see how I could do. Vehicle reasons. I figured if I were going to be hustling and driving a lot, it might be worth it to not put all those miles on my own car, but rather on a rental. On top of that, my own car is actually a stick shift, and while I love driving it, I'm not sure I love driving it for 8 to 12 hours a day. All right, now that we've gotten all those details out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at how I did. So I made the reservation and I ended up renting a Hyundai Elantra. I believe it was a 2013. And let's go ahead into my Uber driver app and take a look. So you can see this is actually my app. That's me, Ezra. I'm not playing around on somebody else's phone or trying to use somebody else's account, but this is definitely me and this is definitely my account. So if I go over to my earnings, I first picked up the car on August 1st, which was a Monday. And you can see that there's obviously a lot of earnings in this week, and I'll show you guys the details. Some of that does come from referral bonuses, but most of it comes from hard work and hustling. And something I do want to point out, look at that boost right there, guys, $992 in 1 week in just Boost. And if you don't already know what Boost is, it's a new thing that Uber's trying, and basically it's a guaranteed surge in certain areas at certain times. And it's much easier to earn off of Boost than earn off of Surge, because Surge can be somewhat unpredictable and kind of change from 1 minute to the next. But with the Boost earnings, you know exactly where and when to be to maximize your earnings. So I was able to do really well with this rental because of the Boost. If I scroll down, you can see this first week I was online for 61 hours and did 145 trips. So that's a lot of work. I was really hustling and trying to make the most of this rental car that I had. You can see I did a ton of trips. And when it does say 61 hours, you know, that's actually means I worked much more than 61 hours because there's time not accounted for in that when I'm offline, either taking a break or driving home or whatever else, maybe I had to go offline for some other reason, but I was definitely working a lot and trying to make the most of this. So that was the first week, was really good. Second week was good too. I didn't make as much because things were just starting to slow down a little bit. I think that first week that I rented was really the peak of the summer season, and I was able to capitalize on that and drove every single day. You can also see the vehicle fee here, $200.82. I'll get to more on that in a minute. And this week I was online for 39 hours, 27 minutes, did 87 trips, and you can see my day-by-day earnings there. Again, some of those day-by-day earnings do include referral bonuses, but not much. It was just $250 this week. And again, these earnings that you see do account for the rental fee of the car. So the only other cost involved is my gas. The third week I had with the car, pretty similar to the second. I was starting to get a little burned out and ended up taking more time off. Barely worked at all on Wednesday and Thursday. And then the final week with the car, well, actually, let me show you the details on this third week. You can see I did 78 trips in 39 hours and 26 minutes. And there's my day-by-day earnings right there. And then the final week with the car, made a bit less. The summer was definitely slowing down here in Los Angeles. People were going back to school, and people who had been here on vacation were mostly home, I think. So I noticed that the boost levels were actually lower and business was just slower. So it was a good time for me to finish up the rental and move on to other things. But you can see I did do 77 trips this week in 33 hours, and then there's my day-to-day earnings. So I went ahead and took all the information from those pay statements and I created the spreadsheet that you see here. So this has all of the data. The one thing that really stands out to me is the boost earnings. And if you don't already know about Boost, definitely educate yourself on that. See if it's available in your market because it is a really great way to earn. You can see that in this month, I earned $2,389 just from Boost. Actually, subtract Uber's 20% commission from that because I am on the 20% commission because I've been a driver since November 2013. But new drivers are generally subject to 25% commission. A couple other things I want to point out on this spreadsheet. You can see the fuel. I just put that in estimated. I do have all my gas receipts that I'll go through. And of course, normally you'll write off your mileage deduction, and that's at the rate that the IRS specifies year by year. But in this case, since I was paying for the rental, I wanted to be sure that I also saved all my gas receipts. And I'll of course discuss this with my tax professional when I file my taxes. But that's a pretty accurate estimate. I drove 4,000 miles with this car. And again, the estimated fuel cost for me out here in Los Angeles for the month was $400. I also put in a couple other columns. You can see the total payout here for the entire month, $5,767. Total payout minus the bonuses, $4,329. And then I also subtracted fuel from that. So you can see that, $3,929. And something that I thought could be really helpful is I also created hourly pay based on all these numbers. And so $25 an hour before the fuel expense, and that's without bonuses or anything else. So I think that's really good earnings, guys. And like I said, I took advantage of the busy season, took advantage of Boost and Surge. And then if I also try to account for my gas, came out with a true earnings estimate of $22.71 per hour online. And I was really proud of that. I think I did really well for all of my hard work. And again, this $22.71 is accounting for all of my expenses. Now the spreadsheet is available for you guys to check out if you want to take a closer look. I'll leave a link down below so you can find it down there. All right, now let's talk about why you should rent. So I don't want to mislead you guys and promise you that you're going to earn all this money. I did work really hard, but I was also smart about when I rented the car. So I want to make sure that you're renting it for the right reasons. So first reason you might want to rent the car is that you need a short-term solution. And for example, maybe your car is in the shop or temporarily unavailable for some other reason. So that's a good reason to check out the rental program. Another reason you might want to rent is if you have a money-making plan like I did. So I obviously thought this through, had a plan in place, and I went and executed. And then finally, if you want the personal use of the car. So in addition to driving passengers, maybe you also want to put a ton of personal miles on the vehicle because it does include unlimited miles. Now this depends on your specific situation, because if you are putting a ton of personal miles on the car, then that means while you're doing that, it's not going to be available for you driving it for Uber. So this one's a little more tricky. And I like to think of the personal miles as more of a perk rather than a reason to rent the car from Hertz. Here's a couple of specific tips if you do decide to rent from Hertz. First, after you make your reservation with Hertz, be sure to call the branch and ask them about the process. Ask them the best time to come in so you can get in and out quickly, and also ask them if there's anything else you should know. Now you should be able to go in anytime on the day of your reservation. Second, be prepared to be treated as an Uber driver and not a real Hertz customer. Now this isn't really cool, but it's just the nature of the game. When I first went into the location, there was a sign-up sheet with a bunch of people on it and a lot of people waiting in the lobby. I ended up having to wait over an hour to be helped, even though I had a reservation, and by the time we got to the paperwork, I just wanted to get the car and get out. The Hertz employee kind of rushed through everything, and when he brought me outside, the car was actually pretty dirty and one of the tires was even low on pressure. I brought these things up, but he just dismissed my concerns and was like, I gotta go to lunch, see ya. So obviously I was frustrated, but I also realized that these guys are overwhelmed because all of a sudden they're having to deal with a ton of Uber drivers, and it's not like Hertz gave them more employees to help out or anything. Now I could have gone back inside, complained, and maybe gotten a different car, but at that point I figured the best use of my time would be just go and wash the car myself for $5 and fill up the tire myself. So that's what I did. After you get the car, Hertz will send the info to Uber so that they can add that vehicle profile to your app so that you'll be able to sign in and drive with that car, and your passengers will have the correct info on what car will be picking them up. And now by the time I washed my car and filled up the tire, I was able to sign in and drive under that vehicle. Third, take a video of the car's condition while you're filling out the vehicle condition report. I recommend doing a 360-degree video of both the exterior and interior of the car. It could definitely protect you in the future. Now, because the vehicle was dirty and the condition report was rushed in my case, I totally didn't see a small dent that was on the bottom of the door. And of course, I was worried that when I was going back to return the car that they were going to charge me for the damage, but they didn't. But anyway, don't be like me. Take a video and have a record. I actually made this video before I returned the car instead of before I rented it. And now some general tips if you are going to be renting a car for rideshare. Number one, know your market. When is your market busy? Are you renting at a time when you can maximize your earnings? Number two, have a plan. I time my rental to start on Monday because that's when the Uber pay period starts. And I also figured that if the first week didn't work out, I could always return it. And I covered the first week's rental charges in my first day of driving, so that was a relief and confirmed that my plan was good. Number three, record all the details. Read all of the fine print and take screenshots. You should make this a practice for whatever you do in this business, since you are in fact running your own business. And also keep all copies of your receipts. That means rental agreements, gas receipts, everything like that. Number four, track your miles. This is very important come tax time. I use the Stride Drive app, which is a free and easy to use mileage and expense tracking app. I definitely recommend it, and you can find a link down below. But even if you don't use Stride Drive, make sure you either use a different app or track your mileage in some way. Number five, hustle. Get out there and make the most of your rental. You're paying to rent the car and have it for every minute, every hour, and every day, so go hustle and maximize your earnings. It makes no sense to rent it and then leave it in your garage or driveway for half the week. Now, one thing I really liked about the rental was that it became a dedicated business space for me. There were no personal items or distractions in the car, so when I got in to drive, I was locked in and ready to make money. Number six, be realistic. Now, I was able to do pretty well because I took advantage of the busy season here in Los Angeles, so don't necessarily expect the same kind of earnings that I had. But hopefully this video can put you in the right mindset to make the most of opportunities when they're available. So that's about it, guys. If you have any questions, you can of course contact me. Either leave a comment here or you can reach me by phone, text, or email. As long as I'm awake, I'll answer your call or text quickly and help you in any way I can. If you're new to Uber and want to sign up to become a driver, you can find my referral link below. You'll be eligible for the new driver bonus in your area, and I may be eligible for a bonus too, which is cool because it allows me the time to try other new services and review them for you guys, and also talk and text with anyone who needs help. Now, Uber doesn't publish a list of specific bonuses for different cities, but if you want to find out the details for your city, get in touch with me and I'll try to help. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video and I truly hope it helps. Please hit that thumbs up if you did like the video and found it helpful, and please subscribe if you want to see more videos. Wherever you're watching from, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.